And the question is, which of these is not a fact about LinkedIn? So go ahead and take a few seconds or a minute or two to think about it. Go ahead and take a guess, and we'll share the results with you in just a minute. All right, so it looks like we have 26 out of 29 responses. All right. So, 63% of you answered C, meaning that it does not address your strengths or weaknesses, that it doesn't address the strengths or weaknesses of your resume. And 63% of you are right. So today you're going to be learning about a lot about LinkedIn, how you can utilize this tool. And just keep in mind that, again, this is not going to address those strengths and weaknesses. It is a tool for employers to use to review job applications. It allows you to network and connect with others in the field, and it's also an opportunity to find a job.
Okay, let's find out more about this then. Okay. Whoops, sorry. Okay, so LinkedIn is an online network. It's for business professionals, but that also includes you as a student. And it is designed for professional networking. So it gives you a chance to find jobs, discover leads, connect with potential people. And mainly, its employers use this. And so 90% of recruiters regularly use LinkedIn to find their future employees. And 95% use it to screen applicants. So if you're looking for a job through LinkedIn, or even if you're looking for a job on Indeed or other resources, they will oftentimes go into LinkedIn and look you up to find out more about you. So these are good reasons why you want to be on LinkedIn. In addition, as I said, for them to find you, but it's you to find jobs. So LinkedIn has job listings as well, and you can use it to find jobs. And as Nora said in the poll, these are some of the things it mentioned. Yes, you can find a job, but you can also grow your network. So this gives you a chance to network with others like yourself, others in the field or in areas that you want to pursue. It's just a great resource to use to build your network, especially, and a network of alumni. And I'll show you how to do that at the end. We're going to go through the PowerPoint, and then I'm going to take you into LinkedIn Live, and I'm going to show you some really strong profiles, because that's what you want to learn today, is how to build that strong profile. And so I want to take you into a few student samples to show you what they've done. All right. So these are two other good reasons to use LinkedIn.
All right. So poll number 2. Which of the following is something you should include in your profile? So you're going to see that poll come up in just a second. Go ahead and take a few seconds to review the options and plug in your response. So we're going to give that a few more seconds. It looks like 85%, 88% of you have voted now. All right, the poll has closed. And as you can see in the results, all of the above is the answer. So your LinkedIn profile should include a headline, a summary, and also a professional profile picture. So again, we're going to show you some examples. Alita's going to go into more detail for each of these sections, but the correct answer is all of the above.
All right, so let's continue on so we can talk about these areas. Okay, so your profile is kind of like that first impression. You hear people say that when you introduce yourself to someone, they kind of sum up who you are within seconds, right? Everybody takes psychology and learns these types of things. So this is your chance to kind of make that first impression using LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about the top fold, the about, summary section, the experience section. All right, so those are we're going to kind of dig into some of these areas today. Photos, and I know one of you clicked that one, and photos are very important in your LinkedIn profile. This is not your resume, this is resume on steroids. So we definitely want that photo. It really does attract attention, and it's really a must. As it says, profiles with pictures are 7 times more likely to be viewed. And so it is very important that you include a photo. Because that image can create can kind of communicate that credibility, as it says, right? And so let me just give you an example of photos, okay? So, all right. So we have 2 different sets of pictures here. You want to use a professional photo when you create your LinkedIn account. So you want to definitely kind of get a nice picture. The ones on the left, you can see they're all dressed professionally, they're smiling, they're very inviting, you know, they look really nice. The photos on the right, on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have people that are not necessarily dressed professional. The top person on the left here, she's kind of looks like in a bar or at a party or something. The person on the top right, it actually is cropped out. She has someone's hand on her shoulder. The person on the bottom there is in his truck with his window open up top, and he's got sunglasses. You can't really see him. And the bottom on the right it's just a little too dark for LinkedIn. So he's not necessarily smiling. So you want to make sure to have a nice picture. Your cameras on your phones are so powerful. You just need to dress nice and use a light color background and have someone take a picture of you, and you can load that up on your LinkedIn profile, okay? So I know, I understand construction management. Brad Hyde in construction management says that if a student from construction management doesn't have their photo on LinkedIn, those employers won't even look at them as an employee. It's very important to them. So he talked about that in a class I presented to. And so it's something you should all definitely plan, is to get that picture, that photo on your LinkedIn profile. Okay. Okay, so next is your headline. And I'll take you into LinkedIn. So some of you have never been in there before, this might be a little bit odd, but when you have your name, when you create your account, obviously your name's in there. So, but there's a section underneath your name called your headline. And this is a chance for you to showcase your specialty. Before they even read your profile, they see your picture and they'll see this. So you can decide if you want to be Jane student or John student. Jane is much more vibrant in her description of herself. This is kind of like that, your mini commercial in a sense, to get attention. So here, this Jane has said her major, that she's seeking an internship, where she's going to school, and that she's involved in advertising, research, and strategic development. So we know so much about her without even reading more, whereas John we know he's an advertising student at the university at Fresno State, right? Cal State Fresno. So we know a little bit about John, but Jane is much more vibrant. And as it says, it's much easier for employers to find her. So you can increase your findability by using these keywords in your headline area, all right? Okay, so I just want you to know about that. And, whoops, okay. So this is what it kind of looks like in LinkedIn. So when you're editing, this is the intro section on LinkedIn. And when you hit that pencil that's on the, right in the slide on the right side of that image, there's a little blue pencil at an angle. You click on that, and then you could edit that summary. So when you first build your profile on LinkedIn, it's going to take you through section by section. But once you create that, you can go in and edit it at any time. You can make changes to your picture. You can make changes to your summary, the headline, etc. Okay, so you'll see I have my my profile picture, and then behind me is a long kind of a banner picture there. I put this kind of compass on there because obviously we're in career development. We want to help you reach your goals and find your direction. So I really like this image. You can search images on the internet for your major or your field of interest, and you can add this picture. It's so easy. When you hit edit, you can just upload it. Once you upload it, you can put it into LinkedIn, and you can again change that as often as you'd like. But it's nice to have a picture of yourself and then something in that banner picture. It defaults to this blue image, and I'll show you that, but it's great if you could put that banner picture in there as well, because again, that attracts attention to you, and that's really important. So So this headline is a very important area to, and very good to add, okay? All right. So next, I want to just mention when you first open up a LinkedIn account, it's going to assign you a URL, which is a uniform record locator. That is kind of your that's your web address for them to get to, for them to find you, and you to put on your resume. So you don't want to have the LinkedIn URL that they assign you, because as you see on this screen, it shows John Jane student, right? But let's say your name is John Jane student, but then it's going to attach a bunch of junk afterwards. It's going to be like numbers and letters and all kinds of weird stuff. So you would edit this, and then you would get rid of all those letters and numbers so that you have your kind of your own personalized URL. And I'll show you when I take you into LinkedIn afterwards. I'll show you that, okay? So that's a really important thing to do, because that's what you're going to want to include on your resume. Because if you create this account and spend time making this really important, then you want to make sure to have that URL on your resume as well. So we've talked about the photos, we've talked about the headline to get their attention and to grab their attention. Now there's a section where you're going to make a summary about yourself. And this is, as it says here, kind of your virtual handshake. It's a personal introduction, as if you were meeting someone directly face to face. So you want to make this personal and descriptive. And so let me kind of go through some of these, and then Nora's going to share a few samples with you. So the first paragraph is very short. It could be like what your major is, where you went to school, where you're going to school, what you're seeking, how to reach you. Very, very short. Something like this, as it says, I'm a junior crim student at Fresno State seeking a summer internship. Please contact me through LinkedIn. So just a very short, simple first paragraph is welcome. You could change it up a little bit, but this is just a good example here. Second paragraph is kind of more detail about you. So this is kind of why you do what you do, kind of what you're passionate about. Maybe share a little story that might show how you selected your field and what you're pursuing. It's kind of nice. This is a chance for them to learn about you. Like I said, it's not a resume, so it's a chance to talk more about yourself using words. So second paragraph, kind of why you do what you do. The third paragraph is kind of how do you then follow your passion? So what have you done to follow that passion besides go to school? So, and in school, of course, as well. So hands-on experience that relates to your field. It could include class projects, the classes you've taken. It could include internships, jobs that you've done, volunteer, anything that's related to your field that kind of gives you a chance to apply what you're learning in school to the real world. So this is what you're sharing in that third paragraph. And then the fourth paragraph goes on to talk about other activities, teamwork and leadership and co-curricular involvement. So these are chances for you to develop these skills that are important to employers. Interpersonal communication, organizational collaboration is a few. So being involved in clubs, organizations, and other kinds of activities within the community or campus are very important as well. So this is the fourth area. And if you have more, this is just an area to add keywords. You're like, wow, that's a lot. It sounds like an essay, right, from school. But this is a chance for you to put just some keywords in there. So Nora's going to show you a sample of that. But next, so these are the 5 paragraphs. And to put all this together, here's one example. So I'll let Nora talk about these next slides here.
Thank you, Alita. So yeah, so we have an example here in front of you, and I'll give you a minute. I'm not going to read off of it, but I'll give you a minute to look over that. And what we did is we bolded some of the key areas that Alita addressed in the prior slides. And so as you can see for this particular student, this is a graduate from Fresno State, an advertising graduate that is looking for full-time employment. So right off the bat, that is something that an employer, a potential recruiter is going to see. So it tells them exactly what it is that they're looking, and essentially the main reason why this individual is on LinkedIn. And then we go on to the next paragraph, which explains a little bit more about the passion. So this is a farm girl that fell in love with advertising. And so in there you can read a little bit about the student's story. After that, we go into some of the experiences. So there's an internship and campus leadership experience. There are 2 internships that are also listed on here. And then at the bottom, you see some evidence of leadership experience as well. So this is Again, it's more of a lengthier example, but this is a great way to showcase your experiences and really help that recruiter or that audience that you're connecting with, really help them understand where you come from and where you're going. So let's go ahead and go on to the next example. All right, so now we have an electrical engineer, and this is someone who on that first paragraph, you're going to see that they summarized some of the experiences that they have. So there's some keywords there. And again, they're telling us what they're looking for. So this is someone that's looking for an entry-level job. And then after that, we go into a little bit of their story. So this is someone who loves building things and making stuff. Someone who's really good in math. So again, highlighting some of those interests. And these could be personal interests that relate to the career that you are pursuing, and that are aligned with the major that you graduated with, or that you're pursuing. As you keep scrolling down, you'll see some of those experiences in bulleted format. So this is another way for you to showcase those experiences. If you want to maybe stay away from paragraph form, you can bullet it. It makes it a little bit easier to read. And so as someone is looking at your LinkedIn profile, that might be a little bit easier to scan through. And again, with the last sentence, there's a little bit of excitement there with "I'm ready to begin my career." So this is another really great example of how you can build your own summary for your LinkedIn profile. So we have one third example for you. And this is an honor student from the Craig School of Business. What is different from this example compared to the others is that at the bottom, you will see those keywords incorporated. So if you're looking for ways of maybe standing out in your summary statement, again, incorporating whether it's the bullet points, maybe the keywords at the bottom, those are some things that, maybe will help it stand out and sort of, especially those should be related to your career of interest. So those should be keywords that a recruiter looking at your profile should gravitate towards. Anything you want to add, Alita, about the examples?
Yeah, no, thank you, Nora. You did a great job going over these. What's interesting in LinkedIn, and I'll show you, when you put your summary section in there, it's only going to show about 3 lines. So until they open up See More, they're only going to see about 3 lines of your summary. So that's important that you have that stand out then, what you want to project, what you want to say to an employer. So, and I'll show you that in a little bit, okay? But this is great. I hope you all could see there's some really good examples. We're recording this and we'll be posting this on our website. So you can go back in and spend as much time as you want reading through these and gathering some tips to write your own summary section, okay? All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next slide. Okay, so again, when you create that summary, it's going to be in there, and then you could edit it at any time. This is in the About section, and the pencil is how you pretty much edit any of the pages in LinkedIn. So I've opened up. This is my About section on LinkedIn, but normally it's only going to show like the top 2 or 3 lines there. Okay, so but I'll take you in live, and I'll show you how to do this. All right, so they just changed this not that long ago, probably last month. They've actually created this featured section now. It's called Featured. And this is a good place for you to add your resume or some rich media or portfolio or samples. It's really a great new section. So I'm gonna show you that when we go in. But I actually had my resume in a different section. It was in my summary section, but then they made changes and made this section, and now my resume just automatically moved in there. So LinkedIn is constantly changing. Microsoft owns LinkedIn. They bought it several years ago, and they paid a lot of money for it. I will tell you, $26.2 billion. Can't imagine that. $26.2 billion Microsoft paid for LinkedIn. They make a lot of money off of LinkedIn. So you want to be on there and you want to take advantage of these sections. So this is where you can add your resume and some other good stuff. And I'll show you some great student examples in a little bit. All right, next is the experience section. So this is a chance for you to type in your jobs that you've had, your internships, all kinds of good stuff in there. So you can add bullets and things like that. I would, if you look at some other LinkedIn profiles, you'll see a lot of people only put their job title and where they worked and their dates. They don't add the bullets in there. And I would highly suggest you copy and paste from your resume right into this section. And then you will be able to, you know, show an employer more about you. So kind of elaborate on that and give good descriptions and things like that, okay? And then you can add, in certain areas, you can add rich media as well. And you can add video clips, you can add PDFs, JPEGs, all kinds of stuff in here. It's really a great vehicle to use, okay? But experience, so you want to put your information in there, most recent going backwards, just like on your resume. And then, of course, your education. And you're going to want to spell out the whole name of the university, California State University, comma, Fresno, just like you do on your resume. You can abbreviate with Fresno State if you'd like, your degree, what you're studying, when you're going to be graduating, your GPA, if you want to put on there, that's fine. 3.0 and above is usually what we usually say. Very similar. It's pretty much the same rules as your resume. But there's an education section on there as well, and you want to put that in there so people can connect you to Cal State Fresno. All right, then there's a lot of other sections. You can add if you've volunteered, if you've belonged to student organizations or professional organizations, if you have honors and awards, whether it's student of the month or worker of the month, or you've been on the dean's list or president's list or received scholarships. You want to list your courses. That's a really great area to put the classes you've taken. If you've had any publications, sometimes students have publications. They might be a writer or an artist, or they might have worked with a faculty member and done some research. You can add publications in there, and then projects, which I highly suggest that you all think about. You do not have to be an engineering major, an art major, a graphic design major to add projects in your LinkedIn profile. A lot of you do projects with other students in your service learning classes. You do them in your regular classes. There are projects you work on that you want to share with employers, especially if they're in your field of that you're pursuing. So it really gives employers a visual chance, which you don't get to do on a resume. So there's a lot of other sections, and I'm going to show you some examples when I go into LinkedIn. We're pretty much almost there, these are, again, to kind of reiterate, the top fold, that's your headline, your photo, your photos in a sense, that summary about section, that kind of area we just spent a lot of time on, the 1 to 5 paragraphs. Nora showed you the 3 samples, very important section. And then those experience sections are very, very important to employers to learn about you, right? So I don't know if there's were there any questions? Anybody had any questions along the way? We have the chat area. I didn't hear Debbie interrupt us, so I'm thinking we didn't have any. If anyone has any questions right now, before we go on to the live LinkedIn, before we do.
Alita,
yes.
Alita, there was a question. There's several questions that we've been answering. Mary answered a few as well. Somebody wanted to know how they could get your PowerPoint slides. So I went ahead and just gave them your email because they wanted to not just watch the presentation, but the details you provided in your slides.
Perfect. Yes. You just email me.
Is that okay?
Yes. Email me and I will send you the PowerPoint. Very good.
Okay. And then let me see if somebody just kind of wanted to know, do employers actually use this as a recruitment tool? Do they look for you when they have a position? So they're curious on how an employer really uses LinkedIn.
Yeah, so at the job fair we had in March, I went around and talked to a few employers. I went down the row and kind of asked people. Some people, a number of people just use it to look up people. So the second reason, 90%, if that slide we showed at the beginning, 90% of employers just go and look you up to see what you got on there, what have you been doing, what kinds of things you've been, doing in school. And so 90% look at you just to see what you got on there. But another 95%, as it said, really do use it for recruiting. I specifically remember St. Agnes mentioning they use it thoroughly, St. Agnes Medical Center. And they use it to go on and search for people in medical fields and in other areas. So it's expensive. I told you LinkedIn was purchased by Microsoft for $26.2 billion. And they got to get their money back. So they charge employers a lot of money to post jobs, to search candidates. I mean, there's different packages employers pay to be able to access people on LinkedIn. But I also like LinkedIn too, because the small mom and pop guy could spend $100 just to do a one-time job posting. So they have different expenses that are employers can pay, but a lot of people do use this. In fact, my son was on here and found a job that he applied for through this system, and it was a smaller business. So employers do use this and in a lot of different ways. So I would highly suggest it's better to err on the side of, you know, and wanting to be in here, and they do search candidates for a variety of reasons. So okay, any other questions?
Yeah, sure, Alita. Someone just asked,
Yes.
how do we use LinkedIn to make connections? How do we even send a message for jobs?
Okay, I'm going to show you that, okay? Because it's not easy to do on PowerPoint. So I'm going to show you that next. And remind me, Debbie, when I go in there to address those. I just want you to see the our hours and our phone number and our website and our email, careers@csufresno.edu. So we're available for Zoom and phone appointments throughout the summer. And of course, we'll see what happens in the fall, right? All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and exit this, and I'm going to go in and into LinkedIn. So are you all, tell me if you can see this.
You're good.
Okay, all right, so, okay. All right, so basically when I log into LinkedIn, because I already have a profile, this is kind of like the dashboard or the homepage or the feed, kind of like any other social media platform. It has a feed of people posting comments and such. In order to kind of edit your profile, you can click here on your picture, or you can go over to the me button, and then can you see this pointer thing here, guys?
Yes.
Okay, good. So either you can click on that me and then view profile, or you can just click right here. It's quicker that way. And then that slide I showed you is kind of this image right here. So this is my profile. This is the main introduction section. So if I hit edit right here, this is when you get to add the photo here and the photo there. Here's your name. It already populates that when you create your account, but this is that headline area. Remember I mentioned that kind of, it's right underneath your name. So this is where you get to edit your headline right here. And if you want your current position listed on LinkedIn, this is the place where it shows up. Once you fill out that section, and I'll show you next, it'll kind of pull into here. If you don't want it to show, you just, you know, the current position always shows, but if you want your education to show, you would leave that checked. And if you don't want your school to be there, you would uncheck that, okay? And then, and so then you could hit save, and it's gonna automatically make those changes to this section right here. But basically, here's my photo, my name, and here's that headline right there. So that's about all the characters you have, okay? I pretty much have every character you can put in your headline, because I wanted passionate and experienced, and I couldn't. So I had to put a slash there, and it fit. So you can see over here, I work at Fresno State and I went to Fresno State. So that's why those two were there. If I worked somewhere else, it would have another business there, and that's where I went to school, okay? So this is sort of the main intro area at the top. And then LinkedIn's always going to ask you to strengthen it. So there's going to give you all these tips and everything. So you can take advantage of that if you want. But this is the about section where your summary goes. So see how you can just see 2 lines plus a little bit? That's all you can see. But if they click see more, then now if you had more paragraphs or keywords, you would have all that to show. But this is where you would edit your summary. And you could, what I would suggest you do is type it up in Word or Google Doc. As a Google Doc, and then spell check it there, because LinkedIn doesn't have spell check, and then just copy and paste it in here and hit save. And then you have you have all the bullets nicely put apart. You can do bolding and italicizing, because you can't really do that in this system. So I would do it in another version and copy and paste it. And then you hit save, and then it saves it in there, okay? So that's the about where all that summary section goes. Now this is that featured area I mentioned. I have my resume in there. So if I clicked on that, it would open up my resume, but I'm going to show you a couple of students and on how they've used this featured section. But this is a place for you to add anything you want in there to share with an employer. Photos, like I said, JPEGs, videos, etc. So that featured area, you just hit the plus, And then it allows you to put a post, it allows you to put articles, links, and then media in there. Okay. All right. Then it's just telling you like how many people viewed you and articles you've looked at and all this good stuff. And it has activity, like how many people are following you and all this good stuff that's been happening. But this is the section I want to talk about. So this is your experience. So when you add, this is how you put your, the jobs where you've worked. So it's gonna, if we hit edit, just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so here's where you put the title, the company, the location, if you're currently working there, the dates, when you started, if you want to, this is where you kind of copy and paste from your resume into that description where you put all your bullets. And then you could, if you want to upload, it looks like we can upload some other documents in here. So let's say I worked on a presentation or something. If I wanted to add this presentation on there, I could upload this PowerPoint and then it would be saved on my LinkedIn, for instance. And I might want to show that as a project I worked on, for instance. So then you hit save, and then that anything you upload and any changes you have will be instantly made right there on the system. If I want to add a next one, because I've been here forever, but if you, more like you guys have more jobs, right? You would hit plus, and then you can add a second job there, and then hit save, and it'll go right underneath it, okay? So I'm not making any changes. So, but you can add additional jobs on there yourself. And then this is your education. So I have my master's and my bachelor's from Fresno State, and you guys could do the same thing here. So you're welcome to, again, hit the edit and add those sections, but this is where you add your education. And this you can't really cut and paste from your resume. You are going to have to actually fill in the form so that it shows up. Licensing and certifications. So if you've done any LinkedIn learning, or if you've done any learning online through other platforms, you can add it yourself. Several of us in the office earned the Career Development Facilitator designation, and so I put that in there. But you can add your own kinds of certifications and licensing here. You could put CPR certifications, for instance, or first aid, or any of these kinds of things that we get. If you're a technical major, there's certain certifications. If you do LinkedIn Learning and actually complete their coursework, it will actually populate into here by clicking a couple buttons. So I could show you another student that did that in my sample, okay? But you can, any LinkedIn Learning that you do through your Fresno State portal will allow you to populate, because Microsoft owns LinkedIn Learning as well as LinkedIn. So that might be something to show. If you're just graduated and you're kind of doing a job search and you have a little time on your hands, you might want to log into your Fresno State portal, and on the left menu, you'll see LinkedIn Learning, and maybe you want to learn some new things or kind of perfect some skills that you've been working on. You can go through some coursework, and then you can add those in here, and then you can talk about that in your cover letter, that while you're searching, you've been trying to develop additional skills, and you can mention that. And so you're getting a you know, a lot of skills through this time that, you know, while during the tough times right now. But license and certification is a great section. And then I have volunteer experience. So I add a few of my volunteer experiences, and I copied and pasted from somewhere else because of the bullets and such, comes in easier. A lot of you have other kinds of experience. And then skills. So this is a great section. If you're not sure what skills to put in here, I'll show you how you can find out what skills people in your field have. But it allows you to add skills that you have, and then it shows people that endorsed you. So people can endorse you for your skills. And then recommendations. So you can give recommendations to other people, and you can get recommendations. So maybe you volunteered last semester and you know, spent a lot of time volunteering. Maybe you want to ask your supervisor to write a recommendation for you in LinkedIn, and they could write on here on how great of a job you did in that volunteer role, and what a difference you made, etc. So this is a great area to kind of aim for. You know, trying to get a few, give a few and get a few in a sense. All right. So recommendations, you can do that. And then for students. So right now I have just a couple accomplishments. I have honors and awards, and I have organizations. But if you do the plus, you'll see all these different sections that you can add in LinkedIn. So for you all, like I mentioned, publications, if you've done any, anything that you want to, you add that section, and you can add your publications. Sometimes students might get patents. That's if you're, you know, a technical field, you might have worked on a patent with someone, but your coursework definitely in here. your projects in here, honors and awards, and and then test scores if you want, language if you speak another language, and then organizations. So a few of these I have honors and awards and organizations. Now, if you click on this, it opens up. So if you put descriptions of projects or other things, you'll see it opens up and there's a little bit more explanation there. So you're able to do that. And then organizations, you can also add some more descriptions in there, but I just put the names of the organizations. So, and then it shows interest, kind of people you're following. So what I understand is if you're looking for a job at a certain company and they're on LinkedIn, you want to follow them. Okay. So if you're applying for a job somewhere else, even if they're not on LinkedIn, go look the company up in LinkedIn and then follow them so that they show up in here. Because if that company's looking you up in LinkedIn, you want them to see their company in your interest area, right? Just a couple extra bonus points. I don't think they're not going to hire you because of that, but why not do your best to kind of get that extra, that they can see that, and it's probably important to them. So,
Alita, can I ask a couple questions here,
yeah,
just before you move on?
You got
One of our one of our attendees has concurrent careers. How could you profile that on a LinkedIn profile without it being confusing to someone if you're doing kind of two careers at the same time?
I've seen people put that on there. Excuse me. I think they use the headline in there to do that. And then of course I've seen people have two jobs at the same time. So you can have two experience sections, two experiences at the same time. LinkedIn's not going to keep you from putting two jobs in that you have at the same time. So you can't have two LinkedIn profiles though. There's only one. So you can't really.
Right. So.
Right. So
I was an instructor in the Craig School of Business, and I was a consultant at the same time, and I just had separate lines, but I actually integrated them in and did it by a timeline. So it is possible to do. People do that all the time. The other question that's coming up a lot is how much information is too much information. When we teach resumes, this person went to our resume workshop, they want concise bulleted points. Mm-hmm. And also, when we put projects, what about intellectual property, and what about violation of people taking my professional work away? I think those are really good questions for maybe some art majors and maybe even coders or things like that within computer science.
Yeah, I think you could. I'm going to show you a couple of people put projects on here. If it's intellectual, like you can't really share, you could share the gist of the project. So you can say the name of the project and what you did. You just don't share the company name or that type of thing. So you just have to, and then you can always run it by the person that you worked with at that organization to make sure that they feel that's okay. It's generic enough where you're not really infringing on anybody's rights or anything. So that's what I would say to that. As far as the other kinds of things, I'll show you a few students linked to a portfolio. So they are showing their professional portfolio, and I'll show you that. So can I go to that, Debbie? Is that all right if I go? Any other questions about this before I go on to show you this?
Yeah, you answered them, Alita. You answered them great. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just show you a couple students and just kind of reasons why I picked these three. I just want to give a couple examples. We're at 12:40, so I know we're doing pretty good though, I think. So but you stay on as long as you want, all right? And I'll try to get this done. We'll try to get this done within the next 10, 15 minutes. But I'm so passionate about LinkedIn. It's such a great tool to use. And I think students don't understand the value of it. So moving forward here, we have a student, and so you can see she added her profile picture, and she also put this, the banner picture here. So she's quoted LeBron James, and she has this nice picture up here. And she worked at the Collegiate, and she goes to, went to Fresno State, or goes to Fresno State. So you can see here's her headline right there. And then down here, here's her about section. So she's added several paragraphs. Now I know that person that asked that question about resumes and being succinct. So, there's a way you could bullet this like Nora showed in that one summary. So that might be a good thing to do. And even bolding or italicizing is another way, right? So this student has their 5 paragraphs. So I think she did a good job writing about herself, but there's ways you can make it easier to read, because this is all important information, right? It's still very important to share. So again, she has several paragraphs in her about section. So here's her portfolio. So if we click here or here, it doesn't matter in the box. she's uploaded her portfolio here. So it's going to take us right to her WordPress portfolio. And then it's going to take you into some of her work. So she's sharing some information here. Her projects, here's her resume. It's actually broken down the way this WordPress does. So she has her resume here. She has a gallery of her work here that she created for her program. So she has a photo essay that she did for a class, MCJ 30, looks like 30. So she put that on there, and then she has the audio story. So you can click on that and read and listen to it. She put a video montage, so you can click and watch that. I'm not going to spend all that time, but basically she's connected these employers to all this wonderful work she does by putting this link in her featured section. Okay, so I think that's a really great thing to do. Here's her experience. So see, she didn't use bullets there, which I find really interesting because she's in the advertising area. I probably would encourage her to put bullets there. She put bullets under her tutoring and her reception work and her cashier, but she just didn't put it under her account executive, which is kind of interesting. So, and you could see more. So if you have it too long, it allows you to open up those windows. So her experience section, her education. So she put a lot more on there. She puts her dates. Where she went to high school. She put some skills on there. She added projects. So that other student was talking about this. So here she described her projects and then see the project. And if we click on that, it's going to take you then to the vehicle where she used to create her project. And here is her project right here. Here's her actual video clip that she created on how to study. So she's got several links in her LinkedIn account. She's got them at the top and featured, and she also put them in projects. So if you have video clips of projects you've done, you could share video clips. It doesn't, she just took you to a hyperlink, right? So, and since she explained the others. So she's really used LinkedIn to maximize, her potential with employers. And then again, here's a publication that she created, and she's added a link. These are web pages, by the way, though. So she's actually got this research that she's done and these vehicles to share. So, so that's a lot, really good, good use of her LinkedIn profile. Okay, so that's let's see here. That's Kyla. So let me close those a couple quick ones here, and let me show you. Let me show the next student. So Edward. So he says he's a talkative and persuasive MCJ major with a philosophy minor at CSU Fresno. So that's his headline. He's added a mic kind of in front of a crowd of people because he's a talkative and persuasive person, I guess. So that indicates his ability to speak well in front of groups of people. Here's his about section. So he's kind of done that, sort of followed similar to what Nora showed in those slides about what he's looking for and how to contact him. I just want you to be aware here. He's giving his Fresno State email and his cell phone. This is in LinkedIn, so you have to be real careful. If you want to put your cell phone out there, great, but LinkedIn doesn't really ask for it. He's actually shared it here. So if you feel a little uncomfortable with that, don't put it in there. Just put contact me through LinkedIn. And someone asked about messaging and contacting people. I'm going to show you that next, okay? But he feel comfortable enough to put his email and his phone number. You get to decide what you feel comfortable with, okay? So again, he could have bolded and italicized and bulleted some of that, but he's sharing a lot of his story, of his passion, his followers, and here's his experience. And he's added it kind of more in sentence structure. And this is what I wanted to show you, the licensing. So he actually, through HubSpot, that's a tool that in the Mass Communication and Journalism, Media Communication and Journalism department, this is a tool they use with their students to learn these courses. So he took inbound marketing and frictionless sales through his classes. And he's actually brought those into LinkedIn through following the proper channels through those to put them in here. So, so that's an example of what that looks like in LinkedIn. It looks a little different if you've done the LinkedIn Learning, but that's an example of other credentials and skills and follows. Okay, so I just wanted to show you a little bit about Edward and kind of his pictures and some of what he did. And then lastly is another student. He's an engineering major, and so he has a president of a certain society, and he's a graduate teaching associate. So that's what he's put for his headline. And then here, he's added these featured. I want to show you these featured. So if we click here, we actually, it opens up, this was Fresno State News. Some of you might have heard about this. During this pandemic, they actually build masks and things. So he's sharing this story. And he's also sharing this story, which is another, this is through your Central Valley that was published. So productive gear. So he's sharing those stories and the links, and you could do that as well. So that's what he's sharing in his featured. And then again, you see, he puts bullets into his description and his jobs, which I think are very valuable. So I would say add bullets so that they can see what you did in your job. This is a picture. So he's added this, and then this picture just opens up so you can see that job where he did the supplemental instruction. This is him working with a group of students in a SI supplemental instruction session. So you get to do all kinds of fun stuff in LinkedIn. And again, education, here's skills and accomplishments. So he's added courses. Here's his projects. So he just gave brief descriptions. So to be real careful. So that's what you can do as well if you want. And then here's honors and organizations. So if you click on organizations, he's added a lot more in there, okay? So I just want to show you these three as good examples. And then I want to go back to people asked about how do you message someone and contact someone. So let me go to my main screen here. I'm in my profile. So, all right, so here we go. All right, so you can connect to people. And so how to do that. So I'm going to show you that first and then how to message them. So what you want to do is, we talked about LinkedIn for jobs, networking, sharing yourself and your experiences. So how do you build this network? So what you do is in this search button, you're going to type in California State University, Fresno. I already use it all the time. So I'm going to click on, I already have it here, but you could type it out, California State University, Fresno. And when you enter that, it's going to take you to this page. This is Fresno State's LinkedIn page. And then in order to connect to people, we highly suggest that you connect to other alumni, because these are kind of our brothers and sisters in arms in a sense. So these are people that have been in your footsteps in the previous past, sometimes recent, sometimes longer back, but these are great resources for you. So what you do is scroll down, click on alumni, and then you're going to see how many Fresno State alumni use LinkedIn. There's 90,195 right now. And if we want to look up somebody, so somebody type in your major, and Debbie, tell me what they type in, because I don't want to just look up a random major. Debbie, give me a major that someone types in the chat.
You had a psychology major.
Psychology, okay. All right, so psychology, and then you type it in and just hit enter. And now that's taking that database of 90,000 and narrowing it down to 5,165 alumni in psychology. And I want to show you these, before I show you the people, I want to show you these sections, because these are things people never really look at, but they're so important. So I'm going to show more so you can see this a little bit on your screen. And it's going to give you these 6 kind of bar graphs in a sense. So where do these people live? See that 5,000, where do they live? So most of them in the US, 2,200 in Fresno, etc. So it gives you a chance to see where they live. Well, where do they work? Now, Fresno State, because I connect with a lot of students who worked at Fresno State before as student assistants or full-time working. So that's going to show up pretty much on almost all of mine. But they work at Fresno Unified City, Clovis, Kaiser, Pacific, Turning Point, etc. So you can see where they work. Let me go to the next set of windows here. And what do they do? So 1,000 of those are in healthcare, another 1,000 in education, 768 community, social, business, etc. So you get an idea of where they're, what are they doing? What did they study? So even though we've typed in psychology, some of them studied other areas. So they have psychology, counseling, marriage, family therapy, social work, CRIM, etc. So you can see that. And then the last 2 sections here, what are they skilled at? Okay, remember we talked about building your skills in your profile? This is a great way to build your skills. Look and see what other psychology people have put on theirs. And you can see that these are some of the top skills that they mentioned in their profiles. So perhaps you might want to add some of these skills, or all of these skills if you have them, into your own profile. You don't have to start thinking about it. You can kind of get an idea of what other people put in there. And that's a good base to start with, and then you can add your own. Now, how do I get this 5,000 figure here? This is how I get it. I'm connected to 116 people first connection. Now, that's all I'm connected to, 116 psychology people. But they're connected to 1930 second, and then those people are connected to another 2977. So that all added up together equals 5,165. So me just connecting to 116 people gives me all those resources to look at. So you want to connect to as many people as possible, which means me, Alita Wolf, Nora Diaz-Vasquez, Mary Willis, Debbie Young. You're going to connect to all the people in the Career Center. We have lots of good connections for you. I spent a lot of time trying to connect to all these people in engineering and arts and humanities. And I try to add people, because I try to, add connections so that I get good connections when I show you how to use this, but also when I share this with other students. So you connect to us and you'll get my connections. You connect to me, you get my first and second connections. You don't get those third, but you get my first and second, right? Is how it works. It's that's how LinkedIn works. It's all connections. So I highly suggest you look at these windows. There's 3 sets of windows here. So then let's say, so let me minimize this real quick. And these are some people that are just randomly showing up. And I do not know how they show up because I typed in psychology. You'd think all my first connections would be first, my second connections, and then my third connections. But no, they don't. And I have no idea how they show up this way. But these are second connections that are showing up. And then I do have some first connections here. But let's say I want to look up, she graduated in 91. I'm gonna find somebody else. Let's see, okay. Oh boy, oh boy. I don't know. Okay. So I'm gonna pick on Kimberly. Well, I'm already connected to her, I apologize. All right, so, all right, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm already connected to her too. I'm trying to find someone I'm not connected to first. All right, I'm just gonna do this one. Jennifer. Okay, so I'm going to click on Jennifer. And so she pretty much just says PhD psychology. So this is a little bit about her. She works as a lecturer here at Fresno State. And she's also worked before in this area. She went to a different school. She went to Fresno State with her bachelor's. She did her PhD at another university. And she's also has volunteer experience. And here's her skills, and here's her publications, etc. So if we wanted to, if I wanted to talk to Jennifer, the only way I could talk to Jennifer is hit connect. And so if I want to connect, then I would do that, and then I could add a note. So if I want to say, Jennifer, I saw your profile on LinkedIn, and I would like to add you to my network. I hope you, agree or agree or whatever, and then thanks, Alita. And so I have 300 characters, and then I could hit send invitation, which I'm going to do. Then what happens when I send the invitation? It shows me the invitation was sent. She gets an email, and then she can say yes or no. And so that's how that works. Now, the way the system is you can't talk to people unless you are part of their network. So, so let me go back to the list, hopefully. Yeah, come on. Oh, well, sorry, I went too far. Okay, there we are. So, so if they're my first connection, so if I click on Christian here, and I want to message him, I can, because he is the first connection. So the only way you can message somebody in this system is if you're their first connection. If you want to message them, you have to connect to them to message them. Or you pay for the LinkedIn premium, which I don't, and I don't suggest you need to do either. But I can say Christian is a first connection, so if I hit message, it's going to open up this box and I can write a message and send it to him. So someone who had asked about messaging people, you can do it through connecting to them, or once you're connected, you can message them. So hopefully that answers those questions, okay? All right, so any other questions about, I think those are some of the questions that we addressed. Jobs.
There's no other new ones. Oh, how do you reach out to alumni?
Okay. Yeah. So
like what kind of wording? What would you say to an alum is what they're asking.
Okay. So I think what you could do is you could find the people here. So you could search again by your field, right? So once you're in the Fresno State alumni, you would have to put your field there to narrow it down, right? So, so I'm going to do criminology this time. And then, okay. And down here, it's just popping up with people. So do you see how they're connected? These are all people that are connected to me. So you guys will get different, you will get different results. All right. So it's real important that you, you connect to all of us so that you can get some of these results. But what I believe that Mary likes to say, and I wrote this down because I think it's great, and I wrote it down somewhere, and I like, where the heck did it go? Oh yeah, here we go. Would you be willing to share, yeah, would you be willing to share your wisdom with me? Would you be willing to connect to me? You know, that type of thing. Because the thing about reaching out to our Fresno State alumni is because they've all been in your shoes. So I've never really connected with someone who's never said, I've never had anyone say no to me. You know, LinkedIn is all about connecting and networking. So it seems to me that if you as a student, you wanted to connect with someone. So if I hit connect with Jennifer and add a note, you know, here you can just say, Jennifer, hi fellow Bulldog, you know, I see you're a crim major and you graduated a few years ago and you're in your field. You know, I've strived to be in this area one day as well. You know, as a sophomore, I feel it's great to reach out to people like you and connect to you. I hope you will connect to me or something like that. And, or you can say, you know, I would like to, you know, connect to you. I was hoping maybe you'd be willing to share some wisdom in the future with me, and maybe, you know, allow me to message you and, you know, or whatever. So you get to decide what you want to write, but, you know, these are just, you know, this is the first message they're going to get from you when you connect to them. So just be honest, you know, that, you know, you're just graduated, you're trying to kind of get ideas on what people have done, where they've been going. And you see that when you look at that person's profile, you see they've had an internship, then they've had another one, and they had a job. So maybe they can share, maybe there's an internship they had that you are interested in. Maybe you can contact them through the message and say, I saw you were interned at so-and-so. That really excites me. I'm very interested in them as well. Maybe you can connect to me and we could talk more about it. So if you see something on their profile that you want to bring up, maybe that's what you can say in the message. So, you know, this is just it's a short, 300 characters is not really huge, but that's okay. You know, it's an email that they'll get. And if you add a message, it's really going to add more meaning to that. So anyone else want to share, Debbie or
yeah,
Norman?
I have one more. I have another question, Alita, and I'm not even sure of the answer to this. It says, doesn't LinkedIn Premium allow you to be featured as the first search for recruiters? If you pay that for the LinkedIn Premium, does that mean that recruiters, you're featured in their very first search? That I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm not sure. It's a possibility, but I don't know. We'd have to look that up. As you can see, I'm all about free. So I don't know. I don't know what the premium does give you more. You could look it up, Google it. LinkedIn, why should I pay for LinkedIn Premium? That's what I would Google. See what it says, right? Make them market to you. But you know, you could see what it says. It could happen. So find that out before you decide to pay or not, okay?
Good point. Yep.
Okay, so
I do not see any other questions, Alita, and it's 1 o'clock.
I know, I saw that, 1 o'clock. All right, thank you so much for joining us for marketing yourself in the new normal with a strong LinkedIn profile. Please email me and I will be happy to send you this PowerPoint. Any of us would help you with this. We'd love to critique your LinkedIn profile. It's a valuable tool and I hope you learned a lot today of how you can use it. And if you have other questions, reach out to any of us, okay? All right, Nora?
And we have another webinar tonight at 6 p.m. on job search strategies with Damian Lay and Mary Willis.
Right, great. Thanks, everyone.